I thought I knew everything about the man I married until he confessed the truth I never saw coming when I was 6 months pregnant.
My name is Rebecca Foster, and the man I married was a lie. Not just any lie, an elaborate, calculated, 3-year deception that involved fake medical records, acting coaches, and a performance so convincing that even his own doctor believed it. 6 months ago, while I was 6 months pregnant with our first child, my husband Daniel sat me down in our San Francisco penthouse and said 5 words that shattered my entire reality. Rebecca, I can see everything. For 2 years of dating and 1 year of marriage, I had been the devoted wife of a blind tech entrepreneur. I had guided him through restaurants, described sunsets to him, read him emails, helped him navigate our home. I had fallen in love with his courage, his vulnerability, his incredible success despite his disability. Except there was no disability. Daniel Chen, founder and CEO of a $300 million AI company, had perfect 20/20 vision, and he'd been watching me, really watching me, every single day. If you're just starting this story, hit that subscribe button right now because what I'm about to tell you is the most disturbing, twisted, and ultimately shocking love story you've ever heard. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there, because this journey is going to take you places you never expected. Let me take you back to where it all began, 3 years ago in Seattle, Washington. I was 28 years old, working as a software engineer at Microsoft. I'd been in the tech industry for 6 years, grinding through late nights and endless code reviews, trying to make a name for myself in a male-dominated field. One Friday evening, I was at a tech networking event at a trendy bar in Capitol Hill. I was exhausted, nursing a gin and tonic, about to leave early when someone bumped into me from behind. My drink spilled all over my white blouse. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I turned around and saw him for the first time. Daniel Chen, tall, maybe 6 feet 1 inch, with black hair styled perfectly, wearing an expensive suit and dark sunglasses even though we were indoors. But what caught my attention was the white cane in his left hand and the guilty expression on his handsome face. I am so sorry, he said again, his hand reaching out but not quite touching me, as if he was trying to locate where I was. I didn't realize anyone was standing there. These networking events are always so crowded. Is your drink ruined? Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, dabbing at my blouse with a napkin. It's just a drink. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? No, I'm fine. He laughed self-deprecatingly. I'm just mortified. I'm Daniel, by the way. Daniel Chen. He extended his hand for a handshake but aimed it about 6 inches to the left of where I was standing. I gently guided his hand to mine. Rebecca Foster. Nice to meet you, despite the drink incident. His hand was warm, his grip firm but not aggressive. He smiled, and it was a genuinely beautiful smile, the kind that made his whole face light up. Let me buy you another drink, he insisted. It's the least I can do after assaulting you with my cane. I laughed. You didn't assault me? But sure, I'll take a drink. We moved to a quieter corner of the bar, and Daniel ordered drinks with surprising ease, clearly familiar with the establishment. As we talked, I learned that he was the founder of a company called Vision AI, ironically named, given his blindness. It's actually an accessibility company, he explained. We use artificial intelligence to help people with visual impairments navigate the world. Screen readers, object recognition, real-time environment description, all powered by machine learning. That's incredible, I said, genuinely impressed. So you built a company to help people like yourself? Exactly. His smile turned a bit sad. I lost my sight in a car accident when I was 22. I was in my senior year at Stanford, studying computer science. One day I could see everything. The next day, darkness. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But it also became my purpose. I wanted to make sure other people who lost their sight didn't have to struggle the way I did. How did you learn to code blind? Screen readers, muscle memory, sheer stubbornness, he laughed. It wasn't easy, but I had already learned so much before the accident that it was really about adaptation rather than starting from scratch. We talked for 3 hours. About technology, about disability rights, about our shared love of science fiction and terrible reality TV shows. Daniel was witty, intelligent, self-aware, and refreshingly honest about the challenges he faced. When he mentioned that navigating dating was particularly difficult, people either treat me like I'm fragile or they fetishize the disability, I felt a surge of sympathy. That sounds exhausting, I said. It is. But you know what? Tonight has been really nice. You treat me like a normal person. You don't talk to me like I'm a child or constantly ask if I need help. You just talk to me. Well, you are a normal person, I pointed out. You just happen to be blind. He smiled. I really like you, Rebecca. Would you maybe want to get dinner sometime? I promise not to spill drinks on you. I laughed. Yes, I'd like that. That was the beginning of everything. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button right now and drop a comment telling me if you've ever been deceived by someone you loved. This is just the beginning of the deception. Over the next 6 months, Daniel and I fell into a beautiful relationship. He was romantic in ways I'd never experienced. He'd have meals delivered from my favorite restaurants. He'd buy me gifts based on what I'd mentioned in passing conversations, a book I wanted to read, a skincare product I'd been eyeing, tickets to concerts. How do you remember all this stuff? I asked him once. I pay attention, he said simply. When you can't see, you learn to really listen. Dating a blind person came with a learning curve. I learned to always announce when I was entering or leaving a room. I learned to describe things visually when we watched TV together, though of course, he was usually listening to the audio description track. I learned to link arms with him in crowded places, to guide him gently without pulling. I learned that his cane was called a white cane, and that it helped him detect obstacles. Daniel's apartment in downtown Seattle was meticulously organized. Everything had a place. He could navigate it in the dark, or what was his perpetual dark, with ease. OCD is basically a requirement when you're blind, he joked. If I put my keys somewhere random, it could take me an hour to find them. His phone had a screen reader that spoke everything aloud. His computer had specialized software. He had a guide dog, a beautiful golden retriever named Watson, who helped him navigate outside. Everything about his life was consistent with being blind. I never once questioned it. 3 months into our relationship, I met his family. His parents lived in Palo Alto, California. His father was a retired engineer, his mother a piano teacher. His mother, Grace, took me aside during dinner. Rebecca, I'm so glad Daniel found you. After the accident, we thought he might never let anyone in again. He was so angry, so devastated. But you've made him happy. I can hear it in his voice. He makes me happy too, I said honestly. Just be patient with him. Being blind makes everything harder, relationships especially. He'll need you in ways other partners don't. I know. I'm ready for that. Grace squeezed my hand. You're a good woman. Daniel is lucky to have you. The relationship progressed. After 8 months, I moved into Daniel's apartment. After a year and a half, he proposed. The proposal was at Discovery Park, overlooking Puget Sound at sunset. I described the colors to him, the orange and pink streaking across the sky, the way the water reflected the light. I can't see it, he said softly, but I can feel it. The warmth on my face, the sound of the waves, your hand in mine. This is what beauty is to me now. Then he got down on one knee, fumbling slightly to find the right position, and pulled out a ring box. Rebecca Foster, will you marry me? Will you be my eyes and I'll be your terrible joke teller? I laughed through my tears. Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. We got married 6 months later in a small ceremony in San Francisco, where Daniel had moved his company headquarters. It was intimate, beautiful, perfect. On our wedding night, in our new penthouse apartment in Pacific Heights, Daniel held my face in his hands. I love you so much, he said. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't know what I did to deserve you. You're the best thing that happened to me too, I whispered back. 6 months into our marriage, I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we were both thrilled. Daniel was going to be a father. I was going to be a mother. We started planning the nursery, picking out names, reading parenting books. Well, Daniel listened to the audiobooks. Everything was perfect, until the day my world fell apart. Subscribe right now if you want to know what happened next. Tell me in the comments if you saw this twist coming. The truth is about to be revealed. I was 6 months pregnant when it happened. My belly was round and prominent, and I'd been feeling exhausted all day. It was a Saturday afternoon. Daniel had been acting strange all week, quieter than usual, distracted, almost anxious. I'd attributed it to stress at work. Vision AI was in the middle of raising a new funding round. Rebecca, can we talk? He asked, his voice tight. Sure, babe. What's up? We sat down on the couch in our living room. The San Francisco fog was rolling in outside our floor-to-ceiling windows, and I remember thinking how beautiful it looked. Daniel was fidgeting with his hands, something he rarely did. He still wore his dark glasses, as he always did indoors and out. "I need to tell you something," he said, "and I need you to let me finish before you say anything. Can you do that? You're scaring me." "What's wrong? Please. Just let me finish, Don." "Okay." He took a deep breath. Then he reached up and took off his sunglasses. I'd seen him without his glasses before, of course. His eyes were a dark brown, seemingly normal. They didn't wander or look unfocused like some blind people's eyes do. He looked directly at me. Not at where I was. Not approximately at me. Directly. Into my eyes. And I felt my stomach drop. "Rebecca," he said quietly, "I can see everything." For a moment, I didn't understand what he was saying. The words didn't make sense. What? I can see. I've always been able to see. I was never blind. I've never been blind. The room started spinning. "What are you talking about? I've been lying to you. For 3 years. I can see perfectly. 20/20 vision. I see you right now. Your face, your expression, your beautiful pregnant belly. I see everything." I stood up, backing away from him. "That's not funny, Daniel. It's not a joke." He stood up too, his movements smooth and easy. Not the careful, measured movements I'd come to associate with him. "I'm not blind. I never was. There was no car accident. No tragic loss of vision. I made it all up." "Why?" The word came out as a whisper. "Why would you do that?" "Because I wanted to know what it was like. To be treated differently. To be valued for something other than my success or my money. To know if someone could love me for me." I felt like I was going to vomit. "You've been pretending to be blind for 3 years?" "Yes." "You lied to me from the moment we met?" "Yes." "You let me." I couldn't even finish the sentence. The enormity of it was crashing over me in waves. "I guided you. I described things to you. I read to you. I reorganized my entire life around your supposed disability. I know. Your parents. Your friends. The fucking guide dog, Daniel. Watson is a real service dog. I borrowed him from a friend who trains them." I felt tears streaming down my face. "Who are you? Who the fuck are you?" "I'm Daniel Chen. That part is real. The company is real. My feelings for you are real." "Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't you dare tell me your feelings are real. You built our entire relationship on a lie. You watched me do things, say things, thinking you couldn't see. You've been watching me for 3 years. The violation of it hit me like a physical blow. Every moment I'd gotten dressed in front of him. Every time I'd cried and thought he couldn't see my tears. Every vulnerable moment I'd had, thinking I had some privacy. He'd seen it all. Tell me in the comments right now, could you ever forgive something like this? Hit that like button if this is blowing your mind. Stay with me because you need to hear why he did this. I was backing toward the door, my hands shaking, when Daniel started talking faster, desperately. "Please, just let me explain why. Why you pretended to be disabled? Why you manipulated me for 3 years? Why you lied about literally everything? It started as a social experiment," he said. And I could hear the shame in his voice. 5 years ago, before I met you, I was in a really dark place. I'd just sold my first company for $50 million. I was 26 years old and suddenly wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. Oh, poor you. I know how it sounds. But overnight, everyone treated me differently. Women who'd never looked at me twice suddenly wanted to date me. Friends came out of nowhere asking for money. Everyone wanted something from me. I couldn't tell who was genuine and who was just seeing dollar signs. He sat back down, running his hands through his hair in a gesture of frustration. "I went to therapy. My therapist suggested that my mistrust was becoming pathological. She said I needed to find a way to connect with people authentically again." "So you decided to pretend to be blind? That was your therapist's advice?" "No? God, no. That was all me." He looked at me, really looked at me, and it was so strange seeing him make direct eye contact. I was at a cafe one day, and I saw a blind man come in with a guide dog, and I watched how people treated him. They were kind, gentle. They didn't ask him for money or try to pitch him business ideas. They just helped him order his coffee and went about their day. And you thought, hey, I'll pretend to have a disability so people will be nice to me? I know it sounds insane. It is insane. But I was in such a weird headspace. So I started researching. I learned everything about being blind. I hired an acting coach. I worked with an orientation and mobility specialist who taught me how to use a cane properly, how to move through space as a blind person would. I felt sick. The level of premeditation was staggering. I practiced for months, he continued. I started wearing the glasses and using the cane in public. I'd go to restaurants and cafes in other cities where no one knew me. I wanted to see if I could pull it off. And you could. Yes, people believed me. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. No one was asking me for money. No one was trying to use me. They were just being kind to a blind person. So you decided to make it permanent? I decided to found Vision AI under this new identity. Daniel Chen, blind entrepreneur. It felt like a fresh start. I could build something meaningful and know that people were respecting me for the work, not because of my previous success. And then you met me. Then I met you. His voice softened. And you were different from anyone I'd ever met. You were brilliant, funny, real. You treated me with respect, but not pity. You didn't know about my previous company or my money. I kept that separate. You just knew me as Daniel, the founder of a startup. The blind founder of a startup? Yes. And you never thought about telling me the truth? Not once in 3 years? He was quiet for a long moment. I thought about it constantly, especially after we started getting serious. But I was afraid. Afraid you'd leave. Afraid you'd hate me. Afraid I'd lose the only real relationship I'd ever had. So you just kept lying? Yes. And with every day that passed, it got harder to tell you. How do you tell someone you've been lying about something this fundamental? How do you confess that your entire relationship is built on deception? I sank back down onto the couch, my hands cradling my pregnant belly. Our baby kicked, as if reminding me that this wasn't just about me and Daniel anymore. Why are you telling me now? I asked quietly. Because you're pregnant. Because we're about to have a child. And I can't bring a baby into this lie. His voice broke. I won't. Our daughter deserves to have a father who tells the truth. And you deserve to know who you really married, daughter? I looked up at him. We'd decided not to find out the sex. He smiled sadly. I saw the ultrasound when you left it on the counter last week. You were so excited about the pictures. I looked. I know I shouldn't have. But I looked. Even that had been a violation. Subscribe right now because what happens next will shock you. Comment below what you think Rebecca should do. This story is about to take a turn no one expects. I left. I grabbed a bag, threw some clothes in it, and I left that penthouse. I went to stay with my best friend, Madison, in Oakland. I'm going to kill him, Madison said when I told her the story. I'm actually going to murder him. Please don't. I need you out of prison. For 3 days, I didn't answer Daniel's calls or texts. I just sat in Madison's guest room, trying to process the enormity of what he'd done. But I'm a problem solver by nature, a software engineer. I need to understand systems, to debug them, to figure out how they work. So I started investigating. I started with the medical records. Daniel had shown me documentation of his blindness, reports from ophthalmologists, records from the rehabilitation center where he'd supposedly learned to live without sight. I called the ophthalmologist's office. Hi, I need to verify some medical records for my husband, Daniel Chen. He was a patient there in 2018? I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't have anyone by that name in our system. The records were fake. All of them. Next, I contacted Stanford, where he supposedly attended. I found the registrar's office. Yes, Daniel Chen did graduate from Stanford, the woman confirmed. Computer science, class of 2016. But we don't have any records of an accident or medical leave. He completed all 4 years without interruption. No accident. No hospital stay. No life-changing trauma. Then I looked into Vision AI itself. The company was real. I knew that. I'd visited the office, met his employees, but I started looking into its founding story. Every article, every interview, every press release told the same story. Daniel Chen, blind from age 22, built an accessibility company to help others like him. It was all marketing. Beautiful, compelling marketing. The media loved it. The blind CEO building AI to help the blind. It was the perfect underdog story. And it had helped Vision AI raise $50 million in venture capital. I sat in Madison's living room, my laptop open, and I realized something horrifying. Daniel hadn't just lied to me. He'd lied to investors, to employees, to customers, to the media. This wasn't just a personal deception. This was fraud, potentially criminal fraud. What are you going to do? Madison asked. I don't know, I said honestly. My phone rang. It was Daniel. Again. For the 100th time. This time, I answered. Rebecca. Thank God. Please, can we talk? You lied to investors, I said. You raised millions of dollars based on a fake story. That's securities fraud, Daniel. Silence. I never thought about it that way, he said quietly. How could you not think about it that way? You built an entire company brand around your disability, a disability you don't have. The company is legitimate. The technology is real. We really do help people with visual impairments. That's not the point. The point is you lied about who you are to get funding. People invested in your story. Your fake story. What are you going to do? His voice was small. I don't know yet. But I need to meet with you. In person. Tomorrow. Okay. Anywhere you want. Your office. 2 p.m. And Daniel? Don't wear the glasses. Tell me in the comments. Would you report him to the authorities or try to work it out? Hit that subscribe button because the next part will leave you speechless. I arrived at Vision AI's headquarters in Soma at exactly 2 p.m. The building was sleek and modern, with the company logo, an eye with a circuit board for an iris, prominently displayed in the lobby. I'd been here dozens of times before. The employees all knew me as Daniel's wife. They'd always been kind, respectful. Now I looked at everything differently. The office was designed with accessibility in mind. Braille labels on doors, wider hallways for easy navigation, tactile floor markings. It was all real, all functional, all necessary for the actual blind employees who worked here. But for Daniel, it was all theater. I found him in his office. He was standing by the window, looking out at the San Francisco skyline, not facing the window with unseeing eyes, like I'd seen him do 100 times before. Actually looking, actually seeing. He turned when I entered, and I saw him without the glasses again. It was still jarring. Thank you for coming, he said. I didn't come here to make nice. I came here because we need to talk about what happens next. Okay. I closed the door and sat down. First question, does anyone else know? He shook his head. No one. My parents don't know. My employees don't know. You're the only person I've ever told. Not even your therapist? The one who supposedly started this whole thing? I stopped seeing her years ago. And I never told her I actually went through with it. So for 5 years, you've been living this lie completely alone? Yes. I couldn't imagine the psychological weight of that. But I pushed the sympathy away. I needed to stay focused. Second question. The company. The investors. They gave you money based on your story. What happens when they find out you lied? Daniel sat down across from me. They'll sue. They'll demand their money back. They'll destroy the company. And they'd be right to do that. Maybe. But Rebecca, Vision AI employs 47 people. 15 of them are actually blind. If the company goes under because of my lie, they lose their jobs. Jobs that are specifically designed for people with visual impairments. Jobs that are rare and valuable in the tech industry. It was a good point. A manipulative point, but good nonetheless. You should have thought about that before you built your company on a lie, I said. You're right. You're absolutely right. He ran his hands through his hair. I fucked up. Massively. Unforgivably. And I don't know how to fix it. Third question. The baby. Our daughter. What happens there? His eyes. Those eyes that could actually see, welled up with tears. I want to be a father to her. I want to be there for both of you. But I know I don't deserve it. No, you don't. I took a breath. But she deserves to have a father. Even if he's a lying piece of shit. So what do we do? I'd been thinking about this for 3 days straight. I'd barely slept, turning over every option in my mind. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to come clean. Not to the public. Not yet. But to the board, to your investors, privately. You're going to tell them the truth and offer to step down as CEO. That's corporate suicide. It's the right thing to do. And if you want any chance of salvaging your integrity or our marriage, you'll do it. He was quiet for a long moment. And if I do this? If I confess? Then we'll see. I'm not making any promises about us, Daniel. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. But I'm willing to try therapy. Couples counseling. Individual therapy for you, because you clearly need it. I'll do whatever it takes. And one more thing, I said. You're going to start a foundation. A real one. For actual blind and visually impaired people. You're going to use your money, your real money, from your previous company that I just found out about, to fund it. His eyes widened. You know about the first company? I know everything, Daniel. I spent 3 days investigating you. I know you sold Prototech for $50 million. I know you've been secretly funding Vision AI from that money. I know all of it. Rebecca. The foundation will provide job training, assistive technology, and employment opportunities for blind people. You'll do it quietly, anonymously if possible. This isn't about PR. This is about you actually helping the community you've been exploiting. He nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. And finally, I said, standing up, you're going to prove to me that you're not just sorry you got caught. You're going to prove that you're capable of being the man I thought you were. The man I fell in love with. Without the lies. Drop a comment right now. Can trust ever be rebuilt after a betrayal like this? Subscribe if you want to see how this story ends. Act 7. The Reconning. Daniel did exactly what I asked. He scheduled a meeting with his board and his major investors for the following week. I wasn't there for the meeting, but he told me about it afterward. He'd walked into the conference room without his glasses, without his cane. He'd made full eye contact with everyone, and he'd told them the truth. I have lied to all of you, he'd said. I am not blind. I have never been blind. I built this company and raised your money based on a fabricated personal story. I am prepared to resign immediately and return any compensation I've received. The room had exploded. Some of them wanted to sue me immediately, Daniel told me. Some of them just looked disgusted. My CFO actually threw a notebook at me. What did the board decide? They're meeting with lawyers to determine if I've committed securities fraud? But here's the thing. All of the financial projections, all of the technology demos, all of the business metrics I presented were accurate. I didn't lie about the company's performance or potential. I only lied about myself. That's still fraud, maybe. The lawyers aren't sure. There's no precedent for this. But the board decided to accept my resignation as CEO. They're promoting Sarah, my CTO, to take over. She's actually visually impaired, so the story actually works better with her anyway. This isn't about the story, Daniel. I know. I'm just saying, the company will be okay. The employees will keep their jobs. And the investors? 3 of them are pulling out, demanding their money back. The others are staying, but only because they believe in the technology and in Sarah's leadership. Over the next month, Daniel began dismantling the lie methodically. He quietly started the foundation I'd demanded, the Visibility Foundation, dedicated to employment and technology access for blind and visually impaired people. He funded it with $10 million of his own money. He scheduled meetings with every person he'd lied to, his parents, his friends, some of his employees, and told them the truth. His mother called me, crying. How could he do this? How could my son do something so cruel? I don't know, Grace. I'm trying to understand it myself. Are you leaving him? I don't know yet. Daniel and I started couples therapy with Dr. Patricia Wong, a therapist who specialized in trauma and betrayal. In our first session, Dr. Wong asked Daniel a direct question. Why did you really do this? Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then, because I wanted to disappear. Disappear from what? From myself. From the pressure. From the expectation that I always had to be exceptional. When I pretended to be blind, I had an excuse. I had a reason to be struggling, to be different, to need help. It was the first time in my life I could be vulnerable without feeling like a failure. So you weaponized disability, Dr. Wong said bluntly. You took something that millions of people genuinely struggle with and used it as a costume. Yes. And in doing so, you perpetuated harmful stereotypes about blind people being helpless and pitiable. I know. God. I know. In another session, Dr. Wong turned to me. Rebecca, why are you still here? Why haven't you left? Because I'm pregnant, I said immediately. Because I want my daughter to have a father. Is that the only reason? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I admitted. Part of me still loves him. Or loves the person I thought he was. I don't know if that person was ever real. He was real, Daniel said quietly. The way I felt about you, the way I feel about you, that was always real. The love was never fake. But everything else was, yes. We kept going to therapy, week after week. It was brutal, exhausting, painful. 3 months after the confession, I was 9 months pregnant and ready to give birth. Subscribe right now because the ending of this story will surprise you. Comment below if you think Rebecca made the right choice staying. Our daughter was born on a rainy Tuesday in November. 8 pounds, 4 ounces. Perfect in every way. Daniel was in the delivery room with me. He held my hand through every contraction, every push. He cried when she was born. Real tears, visible tears, tears I could actually see rolling down his face. "She's beautiful," he whispered. "She looks just like you." For the first time since the confession, I was glad he could see. I was glad he could see his daughter with his own eyes, that he wouldn't miss a single moment of her life. We named her Maya Grace Chen Foster. The first few weeks were hard. Newborn hard, but also emotionally hard. We were still living separately. I'd moved into a rental apartment in Oakland while we figured things out. Daniel visited every day. He helped with feedings, with diaper changes, with the endless exhaustion of caring for an infant. One night, at 3 a.m., while Maya was screaming and neither of us could figure out what was wrong, I looked at Daniel and said, "I forgive you." He looked up, shocked. "What?" "I forgive you. I don't condone what you did. I don't think it was okay. But I forgive you. I'm choosing to forgive you." But why? Because holding on to this anger is killing me. Because our daughter deserves parents who aren't constantly at war. And because, I paused, because I think you're genuinely sorry. I think you're trying to change. He started crying. I promise you, I am. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more lies. Ever. Not little white lies. Not omissions. Not secrets. Complete honesty. Even when it's hard. Even when it hurts. Can you do that? Yes. I swear. Maya finally calmed down. Turns out she just had gas. And we sat together in the quiet darkness, our daughter between us. "There's something I need to tell you," Daniel said. My heart sank. "What now?" "When I was pretending to be blind, I saw things. Things you did when you thought I couldn't see." "Oh God." I felt my face flush. "No, not like that. I mean, I saw how kind you were. I watched you leave money for homeless people when you thought no one was looking. I saw you cry at sad movies. I saw you organize my medications even though I'd told you I had a system. I saw you Google how to support a blind partner and read articles late at night. I was crying now too. I saw who you really are, Rebecca. And every day, I fell more in love with you. Yes, I was lying about being blind. But my feelings for you? Those were the most honest thing in my life. Tell me in the comments, is love enough to overcome betrayal? Hit that like button if this story has taken you on an emotional journey.